Right. Um, so I will give you the link to the GitHub. You open, like create a new project. Okay. Probably just link something like this. Okay. You go to your VS Code project, open like the terminal and say git clone, and then the link to that repository. What happens? That's it. It's done. I clone that project. I have files and I've made a copy of it. So that's just cloning, just getting a copy of a project and starting to use it. Okay. All right. Going back to this project, let me see where we are. On VS Code, we can on GitHub, you can also download it if you want to like download the whole repository and download it and download the zip version. What else? Um, so to just sum up everything we talked about, git status, git add. Don't worry about the like bashing. I don't know why I put this there. Git add, git commit, and then git push. Then you can keep going. Any question? I want to take this like kind of a break thing, so I give you time to take the attendance and like also kind of a break so we can start the second part while you're working on this. So take the attendance and also take a 30-second break, and then we can start the phase 2. Okay, so how does this zip mapping work? I can click here and I can like kind of like see this, but basically it tries to do it. Okay, so it kind of like updates it, making sure everyone is taking it. Then I can just like run it. Like once you take the attendance, it becomes green and I can see who took the attendance with this means like it is excuse absence and so on, right? Should be cool. All right. Is everyone done? Yes? Can refresh it. Just 2 of the recordings are still missing. All right. Phase 2, project files. Now, this part is not about like the GitHub, but actually very important thing about project management, of managing your project folders. There are very important files that you need to add to every project that you're working on, and you intend to store it in GitHub. Very important ones. Git ignore, requirement.txt, and .env. We are going to go over each one of them and check them. First file, .git ignore. So I'm going to go to that Explorer. Don't get confused about these two parts. Like I never use the open editor. Always like just click on this Explorer part. So here, click on this file creation, create .git ignore. Git ignore. Git ignore. All right. So what is a git ignore? This is a file. In that file, in every project you create, it should have these 3 files. Even if it's empty, that's okay. In most cases, it shouldn't be, but like actually, initially, probably it is empty in most cases. git ignore, requirements, and document we will talk about. Let's start with git ignore. This is a file. You specify the name of the files, the name of the like a specific files that you don't that they shouldn't be pushed to GitHub. So let me repeat this. You're going to specify the name of the files that shouldn't be pushed to GitHub when you're pushing your project to GitHub. Why does it matter? A lot of times there are some files that like they're junk files. There are files like that are cache files. And also there are files that you shouldn't push because it reveals your secrets. It reveals your secrets. Okay. So I have a list of them here. Okay. For example, like if you work some like I have this like every project I create, this shows up. Okay, this is like a junk file that I have like created in like Mac. So I will put it here. So if it sees a folder with this name, it doesn't push it to GitHub. So don't mess up my project repository. Cache. Okay, so if you have a folder, if you see a folder like this, don't push it to GitHub. Okay, site py cache slash. That's the folder that usually when you run the application, it caches the data, it stores there. Okay, so don't push that. You can only push, I think, up to 50 megabytes of like a file storage into GitHub. So if you have a very large file, you cannot push it. So you add it to the git ignore so it doesn't push it to GitHub, because if you try to do it, it kind of like gives you an error and everything. So we specified here git ignore. It's a very important file. I'm gonna add this. You must have this file always in the git ignore. What is that file? .env. .env. .env file. Let's create the .env file. Create one new file, name it .env. These are common names and common files in every project, .env, .gitignore. So I'm going to create .env. All right, so I added to my gitignore. What does that mean? When I push it to GitHub, it's not going to push my .env file to GitHub. .env file is files where you save your secrets. You don't want anyone to know those secrets. You want only to store them locally. What are those secrets? Your database, username and password. A lot of times you're going to connect your application to a database, and like in order the application to work, it needs to restore like those credentials and like use them to get connected. A lot of times you're going to try to connect your app to an API, like Gemini API, like GPT-4 like API. You're going to use some secret with code keys. For example, if you're connecting to Google Cloud, it will give you a secret key to be able to connect to Google API, and you want to store it somewhere. Where do you store it? You store it in the .env file. And when you place the .env file into gitignore, it says don't push this file into GitHub. An example in the .env file, this is for secrets. Okay, I have a secret, and that's, first of all, how do you name a secret? This is a common practice. All cap. I'm gonna use cap. What was the like example I had here? Is it API key? Okay. I'm gonna use Gemini API key. What's the key? Push it in, place it inside the double quotation. Usually these keys are like 24 like characters and numbers. It's a unique value, unique, like very unique to you. So it could be just any, I don't know, like some random something like this. This is your secret. It should always be stored in that env file. Throughout the application, we are going to go over like the application development over the next few weeks, and I will tell you how to reference this key. But you store the key in this file, and then throughout the application, you reference it. You read it from this file. git ignore, make sure that like you don't push it to your GitHub. I said it before, this will get you fired if you push this file into GitHub. If you forget to put it into git ignore and it gets to GitHub, it could get you fired. That's how much it's important. Because a lot of times companies have a lot of secret keys, API keys, login keys, keys that are using inside the application, and they store it in this file. If you're working with a file and somehow you push it, first, you shouldn't panic out if you do it yourself. It's unlike if this happened, I did this multiple times initially. So you go to your GitHub and like kind of like I have the code to how to remove the cache from GitHub and remove it. But second is that right away you go and change the key, get a new key, you generate a new key and replace that key. That way you're sure no one again can use that key and access it. For example, in the app, you like when you're using the chatbot and like AI API to kind of like ask questions, I have a unique like GPT API key. It's my secret. I've stored it in the code, and I'm using that. Okay. And that's how like I use it, and I don't push it into my GitHub. We can like simply we can try it. We can like at some point we'll talk about how to create a like a key. But the point here is that creating this more important file, git ignore.env indicating your secret. All right. I can add like I don't know db. Okay. Username. My username test1 db. DB password. Okay. My password is I don't know, some random very big number. All right. So this is our env file, and then git ignore file. Just one. You don't need to repeat that. Just one indicate that .env is included in your GitHub. The last file that we want to add very quickly, requirements. Requirements.txt. Requirement.txt. We'll talk about this later. A lot of projects like that you develop, they need some packages. It's not about NumPy. These are just like coding packages. Like there are some things that you need to install for the application to work. For example, we are going to use a Streamlit, and you need to install the Streamlit. It's very like a simple like installing package, but you include it in the requirements. When you run this code in a system, it checks the requirement file to see what are the required things that need to be installed. It installs them, and then they run the application. So that's the use for it. So for example, probably you might have like something like a Streamlit. I can check it exactly how like what you need to put. I can exactly remember, but you name like specify the name of that like is like package, and also like the like a Streamlit 3.5, for example, that needs to be installed. So that's the requirement. All right, let's push these changes into GitHub. So git status. What do you think is going to happen when I try git status? How many files have I changed? Or like how many files I'm going to push? I added 3 new files, but it only shows me 2 of them because I included into git ignore. It ignores it, right? That's why we don't see the .env file here. Okay, now git add a stage, git commit okay, adding git ignore and rec files. All right, and then git push, and that's how we push it to GitHub. You can go to your GitHub. You should be able to see your git ignore file now, and also git requirements. and then second commit. I can click on this commit and I can see git ignore, and then I can see what was added. 2 files were added, git ignore, and you can see that in the ignore, it says specified .env is not like committed to. Any question? Yes.
Go back to the code.
Basically, I followed the same steps. These are the steps. Okay, so a status, don't worry about the other one. Get a status will show you which files were changed. A statement, git add the dot. Git commit and then like describe what you changed, and then git push it to GitHub. You see, now that you're practicing it, it's going to become very simple, just like the same steps every time. Yes.
Okay.
Sure. Just go to your GitHub. All right. So I can go to my repository here. I can open it. I can see the files. I can click on this commit here. Okay. To commits. I can see my commits. Then I can click on each of one of these commits and I can see what was changed in that commit. Or like what was changed in that thing. Great. Any question? Yes.
How did PNG file again? This one
All right. So make sure that like in the git ignore, you have .env. Check your git ignore file to make sure that it includes .env. Great. If you don't have any, like I will ask you, like answer your questions again. So now go to Canvas. We have a practice. We have about 7 minutes or something left. It's very simple, like the same practice we did now. Just do it yourself. Download the PDF for this practice. Follow the steps, and what you want to do, like once you're done, basically you're taking a screenshot of the last step, or like what is it? Your repository, not here. Repository. Take a screenshot of not this one. You will see that the last step, and then upload it for this class. Yeah, just one more time and check what comes. Yeah. As with you, make sure to upload just a screenshot of that project on Blast, and that should be it. So
This is what we need to see.
yeah,
Does this looks good?
just make sure to add that git account and also like it.
Okay, which step are we right now? So
It's okay for now. You can
it's okay for right now?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Have a good weekend. I'll see you on Monday. If you haven't done it yet, I will extend it until 3 p.m. to upload it. Okay, just to make sure everyone has a time for it. Yes. Quickly come here. I can check it before I leave.